Welcome to the September 25th, 2025 Parma City School District Board of Education meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. PAC students will be leading the pledge today. Is a video.
Ready?
We are ready.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's very sweet. Thank you to the PAC students. Roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Ms. Carr.
Present.
Ms. Griffin.
Present.
Ms. McTaggart.
Present.
Mr. Ruda.
Present.
Mr. Vaughn.
Present. Dr. Huckett. Excuse me, Dr. Hunt, can you please confirm this meeting is currently being live streamed?
It is being live streamed.
Can you please monitor the live streaming throughout the meeting, and if there's a problem, please speak up immediately so that the technical difficulty can be addressed.
I will do that.
Thank you, sir. I move to adopt resolution 2025-09-2427, approval of the board meeting agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-09-427. Roll call, please.
Mr. Vaughn.
Yes.
Mr. Ruda.
Yes.
Ms. Cohar.
Yes.
Ms. Griffin.
Yes.
Ms. McTaggart.
Yes.
Resolution 2025-09-427 has been approved. This brings us to information of the board. Dr. Hunt.
Yeah, a few items before we roll into our presentation on the report card. First, I know I shared this likely during the interview process that I had intended to start a superintendent student advisory council. So I just wanted to share publicly with you this evening that I've communicated with our high school and middle school principals. And it is my intent to pull a group of students together so that we can begin to collect student voice around a variety of topics, from school culture to curriculum, instruction, and capturing student voice around various pieces so that we can collect their feedback and they can help us move the district forward. So tentatively, we have scheduled 4 meetings to begin at the end of October. So I'm working through the details on where we're going to be and what exactly we're going to do in terms of the program pieces, but I will continue to keep you updated on that. Second, just a thank you to the Parma City Schools Foundation for hosting the Taste of the Towns last night. I know many were in attendance. It was an outstanding event. It was my first Taste of the Towns. So I said this last night, I can't think of a better way to bring our 3 communities together in an effort to strengthen and protect our communities and schools. So well done, and thanks for everyone who was in attendance. And we're going to begin shortly here with I know a riveting presentation on the Ohio School Report Card for Parma City Schools. But first I want to start with a congratulations to the district. I'm going to take just the credit for having my name at the top of the report card this year, but I know where all of the hard work happened, and it was in our building. So to our teachers and our principals, our custodial and maintenance teams, our clerks, secretaries, and monitors, nutrition services, transportation department, our cleaners, and our children's services and support staff. The achievement of 4 stars is quite an accomplishment, especially when you were at 3.5 heading into this year. It takes all of us internally, all of us, and externally, including our 3 communities, Parma Heights, and Seven Hills, and most especially the support of our parents and for our students staying focused on their learning to achieve that accomplishment. It's quite an accomplishment. We should be very proud, and you're going to hear a little more deeply about all of the components in that report card. And so Dr. Cruz and Ms. Zermatt are going to present the report card for Parma City Schools. So I'm going to ask them to come up and get started.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hunt, for that warm welcome. We are excited to present tonight's, the report card information tonight. We have already shared this presentation or parts of this presentation with our district leadership team. And so they had the opportunity to dive into not just the district report card, but each school's report card. So it's an important part of what we do is to understand how we're rated so that we can continue to improve upon the things that, that impact our outcomes on the report card. So today we're going to talk, just review our goals, talk a little bit about our playbook, dive into the components of the report card, and talk about some of the action steps that we are taking to continue to strengthen our teams. Is this working?
Okay, so we are starting off with what we always start off with our district goals. And it's really about making sure that we have three things in mind at all times, that we do our work both in the buildings, but also the work that we do outside of the buildings, and everyone plays a part in it. So the first one is improving student achievement, and obviously a lot of what we will talk about today will connect back to some of those things. In addition, we look for student success and how we are helping our students reach their potential. And sometimes that's on a test, and sometimes that's in some of their passions and things that they do day to day in our community or in the schools. We always look to provide healthy, welcoming environments. Kids, staff, everyone thrives in a positive, welcoming environment that helps everyone also reach their potential. So we will continue to align ourselves to that achievement goal because we want everyone to feel that success and confidence as they work through Parma City Schools, both as staff and as students. Practicing fiscal responsibility continues to be a goal that we want to ensure that we are making decisions both for the community and realizing all the great things we do in Parma City Schools, but also being transparent and paying attention to how we budget and how we make sure that all of the things align to be able to achieve the things that we want to achieve. Buildings and facilities continue to be a welcoming place, thanks to many of the great people in our district who provide that expertise with both things inside and outside. One other addition we have is increasing transparency. And one thing that we want to make sure we do is provide that connection and that outreach to our communities, because we all play a part in making sure that we are a success in Parma City Schools. So that means providing excellence in service and really communicating and connecting and collaborating so that we're all together in our decision making. In terms of as a staff, for both how we instruct and the teaching and learning, we have for the last 5 years really focused on one core thing, and that is ensuring that we know what we're teaching and how we're teaching. And this playbook has been a part of our culture for the last 6 years just about. And each year we dive deeper and deeper in making sure we refine and reflect on the things that are working and the things that we need to continue to build within our classrooms. Our professional development, our choices that we make when we're in teacher-based teams or teams where teachers are working together or principals really are aligned to this so that we can continue on our momentum. In addition to making sure that our instruction is where we would like it to be for our students to gain success, we also know that we need to build resilient learners, and that requires efforts from everyone. It requires making sure that our classrooms are welcoming and we embrace everyone, that we make sure that we understand our kids come from many backgrounds, and we need to make sure that we know how to embrace both the things that some days are challenging and some days we need to really focus on those relationships and building an environment that they can learn. We're going to move on to some of that student achievement, and Dr. Cruz will get into many, many details of data.
In your folders, you have this handout that I will go through each of the components. We'll start with the overall rating and how that is made, and then I'll dive a little bit deeper into each of those components. If you have questions along the way, please don't hesitate to jump in. We can have a dialogue about this, but of course, there will always be time at the end for your questions. So we will start with looking at the different components. So the overall rating is formed from 6 different components: achievement, progress, gap closing, early literacy, graduation, and college career workforce and military readiness. That last component is a new rating. Last year it was on the report card, but it didn't count to the overall score. So this is the first year that that rating counts towards the overall rating. And as Dr. Hunt celebrated, we are so proud of these 4 stars. It took a lot of effort, grit, perseverance for us to get here, and just inching up to this measure is really something for all of us to celebrate, and I'm just so proud. So the rest of the components there, we will dive in and look at how each of those stars were earned and understand how those calculations are made. So the overall performance, again being at 4 stars, is made when we look at these points. Oh, it works. So in 2022-23, we had 3 points, and this is all these calculations of all these components. And then we moved up a little bit to 3.108, and then this year, our points at 3.188 was what finally pushed us over that edge of, getting into 4 stars. So greater than or equal to 3.125, but less than 3.625 lands us right into 4 stars. So we are just in 4 stars, so we still have our work to do. We are celebrating, don't get me wrong, but we still have work to do. We have work in front of us. We don't want us to slip back. Even a 1/10 of a point could put us in jeopardy. It's also important to think about how we do with these 607 districts in Ohio. And you can see the little green star. We fall in the 4 stars there, with 147 other districts in the state earning 4 stars. We have surpassed several districts. Hundreds of them were only in 2 and 3 stars, and we surpassed them, and we still have some in front of us at the 4.5 and 5 stars that we have our eye on. Each of the components is also broken down. So again, looking at those 607 districts in the state, how do we compare on each of those components? So the one that stands out to me when we're thinking about how these rankings are relative to us, when we look at that purple column, the 5 stars, we are very proud of that gap closing score. It's not easy to achieve. The gap closing targets are a moving target. They get harder and harder, so we are proud of that. But we are sitting comfortably with 200 other districts in the state. Absolutely a celebration, but there's a lot of us that are celebrating in that gap closing. On the flip side of that, when you look at that orange-ish color column of 2 stars, we have 2 stars in early literacy. Certainly not something we are proud of and something that we are working to improve, but we are not alone when we have hundreds of other districts also in 2 and 3 stars and even in 1 star. So not a celebration, but it does help to think about where other districts in the state fall. You can see over the last several years in that bottom chart that we have held steady or improved in all of our components. So proud of that factor. We haven't slipped back in any of those areas, even, as I said earlier, when the target gets harder to attain. So that last slide, we talked about 607 districts in the state. This one, we will talk about the 20 districts that are somewhat like Parma. So the state of Ohio has a way that they look at our demographics, the makeup of our students, our population, economically disadvantaged, the size of our district, and they said these other 20 districts are like you. Not exactly, but have some similarities. So we want to compare ourselves to districts that are like us. So there are 20 comparable districts that the state identified. I pulled out these 5 here because they're in our general area, so they might be ones that you recognize: Willoughby Eastlake, North Olmsted, Berea, Cuyahoga Falls, and Plain Local. And so lined this up in a way of a little bit of a competition. So how did we do compared to these districts? So when you look at that green row there, showing that we did better than the districts in those areas. And then we may have tied some, and we certainly lost to a few districts who did better than us in some of those areas. But really proud to say that overall, with our 4 stars, we outperformed or tied all of our comparable districts. That is a huge accomplishment. We did better or tied in progress, and we did better or tied in gap closing with our 5 stars, and then that new college and career workforce military readiness. So I am just so proud of this, that it's not just looking at all the districts in the state that are so different, but when we've lined ourselves up with other districts that are like ours, we are not just tying them, we are exceeding the districts or the state's expectations. So I'm really proud of this. So let's dive into achievement. If you look at your, on the first page, you'll see how these categories are ranked. Achievement and progress are given a little bit more weight than the others. So achievement is something that's really important, that we measure our students' achievement, and so it's weighted a little bit higher. So in achievement, we have 3 stars. Achievement is measured by test scores, only test scores. So our 3rd through 8th grade students all take a reading and a math assessment every spring. And then our 5th and 8th grade students also take a science test. And then in high school, we have various assessments that are lined up with algebra and American history and different assessments like that. It's not exactly by grade. So achievement is only tied to Ohio State tests, or as we lovingly call OSTs, because we like to put some acronyms on things. So these OSTs, that's it. That's how our score is earned. So if you're a 4th grade student in any district in Ohio, 2 times a year, you're going to sit down and take a math test and a reading, or your 2 tests, a math test and a reading test, and that's what goes into this. This is not a measure of all the things that they do all year. This is tied to them sitting down and taking a test on the computer. So achievement is calculated by looking at something called performance index. So it's not just looking at how many students are proficient on this assessment. We want to see, do we have students in the accomplished and the advanced areas, and students in basic and limited. And you can see on this chart, maybe, so I'll point it out, a little small, but when we have students in proficient, in this is every student who took a test in our district, 24% of them were proficient. Sorry, the camera. So, back. So sorry. 24% of them performed at that proficient achievement level, and that gives us 1 point for that level. So it's a flat 24.4. We get 24.4 points. You move up into accomplished. It's like, hey, that's great. We'll give you a 1/10 of a point extra. So nice. We had 17.4% of our students in accomplished. When you multiply that by 1.1, you get 19.1. So a little bonus the higher we go in those categories. Advanced, we get another 1/10 of a point. So 18% of our students times 1.2, we get 21. Fantastic. We love that we're getting recognition when our students perform at a higher level. It also works the same if they perform below proficient. So 18.8% of our students were in the basic category, so we get penalized for that. We don't get that flat 1 point. We get 8/10 of a point, 6/10 of a point for that. So we get a little demotion when our students perform in that basic, and then it goes down again for limited. Every district in the state is measured to this same calculation. We find it a little unfair that the increments that go up into advanced and accomplished are only 1/10 of a point, and when the students perform at a lower area, it's demoted a little bit more. But everyone is held to the same standard, and that's how we get to 83.6 points. That's our performance index point. And when you plug that into this component rating scale, oh, but first you have to divide and get a percentage. So our performance index is 83.6, and the state said the maximum district performance index score is 109.8. So 83.6 out of 109.8 gives us a solid 76.2, which puts us right smack in 3 stars. So if we want to move to 4 stars in this category, we really need to get our students out of limited and basic and up into those higher areas. Just a little note about that district performance index score of 109. That is determined by the top 2% of the districts in the state. So they looked at all the state's performance index, every district in the state, so it's kind of graded on a little curve. That's not out of a perfect score. They said the top 2% of the districts were at an average of 109.8, so that's how we got that denominator. So a little bit of a benefit there in that calculation. So 3 stars in achievement. Also on the website and in your packet here is the percentage of proficient. This was many years ago the only way that districts were measured on the report card. They wanted all of our students to perform proficient or above. So do we. It's a great goal, and we're working hard. That was the only way it was measured before. That magic number was 80%. So if you had an 80% of your students in a particular grade level perform proficient or higher, that was considered, you got that indicator, that was the thing. But it's not calculated this way anymore, but it's still important for us to understand because we want all of our students to be proficient or higher. But this doesn't weigh at all into that 3 stars. But it's important for us to understand. In your packet, you can see on the bottom there's a little like blue color-coded chart, and that mirrors the math proficiency rates that the state average is. So the state average proficiency rates are listed here next to Parma's. The shaded green is where we beat the state average. So our 5th grade ELA and math were higher than the state average. That's why they're shaded in green there. So I wanted to point out, we certainly have a dip in the proficiency level, especially in math in our middle school. But when you look at the chart, either here in this column or the one that you have, the blue one, you can see the trend in the state. All of the grade level proficiency numbers are going down. So the state average in 4th grade of 69.1% students are proficient for 4th grade. Then you compare that to 7th grade. In the state, where only 50% of the students performed proficient or above. So certainly, again, not something to celebrate when less than half of your students are proficient, but when you look at that relative to the average of the state, it helps us to understand that this is a problem that other districts are having, so we need to consider what we're doing, what that assessment looks like, so that we can continue to be competitive and get our students to be proficient. One other way that I broke this down to help us understand is we know that starting in Parma and in many districts, in 7th grade in math, our students start to go onto an accelerated pathway. So they're in 6th grade and they're performing well. We identify that they are ready to be accelerated and they get a compacted curriculum, they move faster. So they're in 7th grade and they're taking the 8th grade assessment. So our 7th graders who took the 8th grade math Ohio State test, of those 7th graders in our district, 96% of them were proficient. That's awesome. They're taking a test above their grade level and they're demonstrating such a high level of proficiency. The same is true when we move into 8th grade. When we look at our 8th graders who are taking an Algebra 1 high school course as 8th graders because they're on that accelerated pathway, 96% of them were proficient this past school year. So that helps us to understand when we look at the percentage of proficiency by grade level, especially in the middle school and especially in math, where it gets a little bit tricky because we have students on different pathways. It's important to understand not just to look at it from the percentage of students who are proficient. We really have to understand what that means. So some highlights, obviously 4th grade is a clear bright spot with some significant gains. 8th grade algebra, also a standout. And then in high school, our government and history are great strengths, both of those exceeding state averages. And then our weaker spots being geometry at the high school, and then our middle school math also as some of our weaker areas that we have to focus on. So now we're going to move into progress. Yeah, yes, please.
Just a little quick.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that in math in the 8th grade, it's rather weak, but yet the 8th grade algebra is a standout. And that I don't understand how you can be good in algebra if you're not good in basic math. So that seems inconsistency to me.
Sure. So these are different students taking these tests. So this captures all of our 8th graders who were in 8th grade last year. Remember, these are the results that came from last school year. So we have students on that accelerated pathway. So when these students were in 7th grade, they were taking 8th grade math. So they took the 8th grade test as 7th graders. Then when they were in 8th grade, they did not take the 8th grade test. They only took the algebra test. So you only take one test in math. So the students who were in high school algebra as 8th graders did really well. And that pulled those 8th graders out of this score. So our top performing 8th graders who are in that higher level math class on that accelerated pathway were pulled out of this 8th grade math score. So some folks would argue that the top students in that grade level were pulled out, and that is why the 8th grade math score is so low, because it doesn't include those 8th graders who are the highest performing.
Thank you.
And on the website, it doesn't break it down like this very clearly, so I wanted to pull this out and separate that out. So it's a dip, absolutely, and we know that is not a bright spot, our 8th grade math scores, but that population of 8th graders is not performing at a 38% proficiency. That pulls out those those kids who are taking high school algebra. Not a good number, but doesn't include the whole population of 8th graders. So progress is the other component that is also weighted heavily like achievement. Progress is also known as value added, and this measures the value of the child's education that they received that year. So did a student, while sitting in that class, make a year's worth of growth? So if a student came in the previous year, they were deemed an advanced student by the state test, then they should stay advanced or even move up higher. So value added or progress is all about making sure that we have a year's worth of growth. And according to the state, we have significant evidence that we exceeded student growth expectations. The best way to look at this is this nice color-coded chart here. So if you look at the key, red and yellow means that we fell short. So the students didn't quite make a year's worth of growth. When you see green or the light blue or that navy blue, that means that we met or exceeded a year's worth of growth. So our students not only mastered the standards of that grade level, they exceeded mastery in those grade level standards. So you can see that dark blue and green in our English language arts in all of our grade levels. We have a couple yellow and red in some of our math areas. And then looking at science in 8th grade is another area that we want to target. Our high school, looking across that row there, some strong results in English, algebra, some strong growth results in geometry. Even though the proficiency score wasn't strong in high school geometry, the students still showed growth from where they were previously. And then biology, history, and government. were meet or exceeded. And that was progress. We made some. Gap closing is one of the most intricate measures that we have in the state report card. Gap closing is all about student groups. So it looks at students with disabilities, it looks at students who are economically disadvantaged, English learners, it looks at the federally recognized race categories, Hispanic, Black, white, so all of these different subgroups that we have, we want to make sure that we are making progress in all of those subgroups. And we are, so that's good news. So this breaks it down. I won't go into all these details, but it does, we look at the growth of our students in all these different subgroups in math and English language arts, and not just their achievement, but also how their growth was. There's 36 points possible in that category, and we earned 24 out of 36. So that was something yesterday with our district leadership team that we had the schools go into their individual report cards to see, well, what were the subgroups in our building that didn't achieve? And so trying to understand what additional supports need to be put in place so that we can catch those students up and exceed that growth target. Graduation, we earned 8 out of 9 points. Again, looking at those same subgroups to make sure that all of those students in those subgroups are graduating. English learners, this one is based on something called the OELPA scores, which is a measure of their English proficiency. Chronic absenteeism is 5 points. It's just like English learners, it's an all or nothing. So it's not about 5 subgroups. It's you get 5 points or you get nothing. And so we got nothing. We'll talk more about chronic absenteeism. I'm a little upset about that one. And then our gifted performance indicator, we'll talk a little bit more about that. That's 15 points, and it's 3 different parts where you can get 5 points for each part. So the calculation, you add up all those points. We got 42 points out of a points possible of 70, which gives us 60% as our score. And that puts us right in 4 stars. So we exceed those state standards. Gap closing is another one that when you're comparing yourself with other districts, it's not an apples to apples comparison, because quite frankly, some districts may not have enough students in one particular subgroup to be able to count towards that subgroup. So for example, in our graduation score, we earned 8 out of 9. That was 9 different subgroups that we have in Parma that were identified by the state. But everybody might not have those. They may not have a population large enough of perhaps a Hispanic group of students to be able to have that on their report card. So we had 9 possible subgroups. Another district may have 5. So it's just an interesting way it's calculated. But we're in 4 stars. We're hanging in there. This is another one where the goalpost continues to move, moving target. So they expect us to do better every year, which we do too, but the target keeps getting harder to attain. So speaking of gap closing, the state has, in this bottom part here, the state has established these very lofty goals for chronic absenteeism. So I know it's hard to read, I apologize, but it started back in 2020, 2021, where they said only 24% of your kids should ever be absent. And then you should do better every year. And by 2030, only 5% of your kids should be absent. It's a really lofty goal. And in fact, it's so lofty that the state isn't meeting their own goal. I don't want to point that out to them, but they are not. So they're hitting at about exactly 25.1% of students in the whole state are chronically absent. We are not proud of our 23%, but we beat the state, so that's good. 23.9% of our students are chronically absent. Chronically absent is defined as missing 10% of the school year, excused or unexcused. You have a doctor's appointment, you take the day, that whole day counts towards chronic absenteeism. So we do encourage our families to, if you have a doctor's appointment, come back to school. It helps us with our hours. Also helps them with the learning when they're there. So it's measured excused or unexcused, and it's 10%. So when we think of about 180 days in a school year, you cannot miss more than 18 days out of the school year, or you're going to be considered chronically absent. So, 1 or 2 days a month is all that you should ever take, unless there's something really wrong. But anyway, so we don't want kids missing school, and we're held to that standard there.
Are athletes included in that? I mean, if they take a couple days, they go to a golf tournament or they go to a wrestling tournament or something like that, and they miss a day, that takes away from that.
There is something that we would refer to as like a school business, and so if it's a school-sponsored event, then it wouldn't count. So if a student is, to your point, like going to an athletic event or is speaking somewhere or doing something, going on a college trip, whatever that might be, if it's a school-sponsored event, then it's not considered an absence. It's more like a field trip.
Right.
So like if a student goes on a field trip, we don't mark them for half a day off.
Right.
It's a school-sponsored event. Good question.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. So we're going to continue to work hard. We were at 23.3% of our students last year. We went up, which is not the way to go with chronic absenteeism. So we want to go down, and we're going to do what we can to go down next year. We'll continue that Stay in the Game initiative, partnering with the Browns, and continue all these ways to build bridges with our families so that we make sure that we are getting kids into school. The other one that I wanted to kind of spell out a little bit here was the gifted gap closing part, and that is broken down into 3 sections. So there's the Gifted Performance Index, and that's that again where the kids fall proficient, advanced, accelerated in those different achievement categories. But if you remember, I talked to you about that performance index denominator and how the state, for the overall achievement score, we looked at that performance index, and it was like a 109 because it was the top 2% of the state. So with gifted, they said, well, these students have gifted identification, we should expect more from them, nearly perfection, and they put us at a 121.1. So our denominator is different when we're looking at performance index for gifted. Also, so when we look at our performance index with our gifted students, it is 115.7, and then we divide that by that denominator, and so we have 96.5% of a performance index score, and we needed 97.5. Really a lofty goal that the state has established for us. That is another one that has changed. I believe a few years ago it was at 95%, so we would have met it then, but the target gets harder for us to reach, so we keep trying hard. So 96 is really something to celebrate. That PI score is very impressive, and but we didn't get the points. It's an all or nothing. Progress, that's that value added. This is not an easy one to attain for students with a gifted identification. They are coming into a teacher's classroom already most likely mastering many of those standards or having mastered those standards. So the teachers have to enrich, provide opportunities, and differentiate in order to make that progress. So we made it. We had 4 stars in our gifted progress. And then the last one is gifted identification and services. This might be the most convoluted measure in all of the measures. If you'd like to read the technical documentation, if you're having trouble sleeping, I'd be happy to provide that to you. But this takes a look at not just are we identifying and servicing kids, so we provide opportunities in honors courses, AP courses. We provide gifted cluster groups so students are different, the teachers differentiate and provide enrichment opportunities. We do that. We needed an 80% score here to achieve that, but it's more than just IDing and serving. It breaks it down, it looks at economically disadvantaged, it jumps into minority subgroups, it looks at all kinds of things. So we didn't get any points there, but we did get a 77%, which is super close to that 80%, and this is another one that has, like broken record, the state has moved the bar for us on that one, so it used to be 60, then 70, and 80, so we would have met it a few years ago, but we've got to do better. I will point out that we ranked, when you take all of our points and plug it all in, the state had a little chart, and we ranked 89th out of 607 districts, and in our gifted performance, which is really impressive, outperforming districts by rank, such as Strongsville, North Royalton, Medina, Berea, and Brooklyn. So we're proud of that, that little win there. Only 17 districts, 17 out of 607, met all three of those indicators. Really a difficult measure to get points in. Only one district in Cuyahoga County earned all three.
Do you know which one that was?
Sure do.
Which one?
Bay Village. Congratulations to them. Very proud of them. Maybe a little jealous, but very proud, very proud. So, yeah, but we're close. We're real close there. Okay, early literacy. Here we go. So early literacy is not a shining spot in our district's report card. It leaves us quite frustrated with this measure. So we'll jump in to what early literacy is all about. Early literacy is actually comprised of 3 different measures. So how did your kids perform on the 3rd grade reading test? Were they proficient or higher? It looks at a component called improving literacy, and it also looks at promotion to 4th grade. When we look at 3rd grade proficiency, this does not mean can our 3rd graders read. It means can our students in 3rd grade read, digest, comprehend, and respond to test questions that are multi-step. In your green folders, if you'd like to see one of those questions, I printed out for you questions that were released from previous 3rd grade assessments. So the one that you have on the top there, I think is about Buster, and it's cute. So the students had to read 2 different passages that were, you have them there if you'd like to read them, about Buster and then something about his pumpkin or Halloween. So the passages are there, so they have to read 2 different passages, then they have to go back and read this question that asks them, in reading these 2 passages, which of these were similar, which of these were different? They've got to check these boxes. They're doing this on their computers, checking the boxes, remembering what they read from 2 different stories, and trying to apply their knowledge of Buster, who they've never heard about before this day, and apply this knowledge on that question. So when we're talking about proficiency, we are not talking about sounding out words. We are not talking about recall of sight words. We are talking about application of these standards, which is really challenging for our 3rd graders. So I just wanted you to have a little sampling of what they are doing. Again, we're not celebrating 58%. We can do better, and we will do better. But it's not a measure of whether our students can or can't read. This is about applying those difficult standards. So just wanted to visit that part. We didn't do as well as we did last year in proficiency. That hurts to say out loud. But again, the state didn't do as well. So the 3rd graders in Ohio performed at 59% of them performed proficiently. In our district, 58% performed proficiently. Last year we were at 65. We beat the state by a little bit. The state was at 62. So we went down, the state went down. Not great on any measure, but it does help us to think about where we're still hanging in there with the state. We're 1% away from that, where the state was. So that's the 3rd grade proficiency. How our students do on in 3rd grade it's 2, on 2 state tests. So they take it in the fall in 3rd grade, and they take it in the spring, get to pick their highest score, which is helpful. And that's what this measure is all about, whether or not they're proficient and can answer these complex questions. We have many other ways that we assess whether or not they can read and do those basic early literacy skills, and we show a lot of growth in that, but demonstrating proficiency on a 3rd grade assessment is something that is very challenging. The improving literacy component is also challenging because this is a measure of how our students do in the fall of one year compared to the fall of the following year. So when we look at growth in our district, we actually stick with the same school year. We start in the fall, kindergartners come in, we give them an assessment, a diagnostic assessment, we see how they did, and we monitor their progress throughout the year. And we look at that growth from where they were as when they started as kindergartners or first graders, second graders, third graders, and then how they did by the end of the school year. The state asks us to report this measure in a way that asks us to demonstrate how they did in the fall of one school year compared to the fall of the next school year, which is actually a different assessment. So our kindergartners are taking an assessment that's based on their kindergarten score, their kindergarten skills, and our first graders are taking a test based on their first grade skills. But this improving literacy measure wants us to go from kindergarten to first, and did we get these kids off track using a different measure? So it's a little bit complex. Quite frankly, it's one of the most contested areas on the report card by superintendents across the state because it is not an apples to apples comparison. We choose our measure, so we use something called Ames Web in the district for our kindergarten and first graders. We use MAP reading for our second and third graders, and that's our choice. But a neighboring district might use an iReady score or a MAP or a DIBELS score. So different assessments, different measures. So this is one that we continue to be a little bit frustrated by how the data comes out, but we have our own internal data that shows, based on the same assessment, that our students are growing within that school year. So a kindergartner in the beginning of the year compared to their score at the end of the year. The last one is promotion to fourth grade. This is another one that's a little bit difficult to talk about because some districts handle promotion and retention differently. So back during the COVID times, which seems so long ago, we couldn't retain students. They said, nope, it's COVID, you cannot retain kids, forget about it, everybody's passing no matter what. Okay, so then in 23, 24, they said, nope, we're going back, you've got to retain kids if they're not proficient. So we did, and we only promoted 85% of our students. And then this past year, we did the same. We looked at our scores and we looked at their proficiency level. We considered other measures. We met with families, we sent home letters, and 92% of our students were promoted. So we put in place measures for, regardless of their promotion, if a student needs reading help, they get reading help. And that's the frustrating part of this, this mandate by the state, is that we do have things in place regardless of the child's grade level. They're getting intensive interventions when they need it, regardless if they're in a third grade reading class or a fourth grade reading class. And this year, we looked at our students who have gone on to fifth grade, who have been on reading improvement and monitoring plans that we put in place for students who needed extra help. And as fifth graders, 50% of the students who were on reading and improvement monitoring plans came off of those plans because they hit that proficient mark in fifth grade. So they didn't hit it in third, they didn't hit it in fourth, we didn't give up, we continued to intervene, we continued to put in place practices that will support their individual needs, and it's working. It just takes a little longer sometimes for some kids, but we keep going with that. Okay, graduation, we're going to flip to the other side of our student population and talk about getting across that finish line. So we are proud that we earned 3 stars in this. Still some room for improvement here, but this is up from 2 from the previous year. Graduation is the only component that is a year behind. So that's because, all these scores that we've been talking about were all from the 24-25 school year, except for this one, which is the year before that, because we count summer graduation in with these 4- and 5-year grading. So if a kid had one class that they needed to make up in the summer, they are still considered in that 4-year graduation rate. So the state waits on the reporting of this measure until after we've calculated our summer graduation rate. So right now, we are calculating and reporting to the state kids who cross the stage in 2025. So the ones that you shook their hands, we're working on those for the state. So 3 stars, it's weighted, the 4-year graduation rate is weighted more than the 5-year, so we want that one to be higher than it is, and that hopefully that can even push us even higher into that 4-star rating. College, career, workforce, and military readiness is this new component. And this looks at not just are we getting kids to graduate, so did they meet all their requirements of the state, but hey, did you make them ready for life? And we did. They look at all kinds of measures, so everything from honors diplomas, if they took an AP course and got a 3 or higher, if they took CTE assessments and performed well on those assessments. So there's all these different ways. If a kid earned any one of those, they get a little point and we get calculated for this measure. And so right now we're at 75% of our students are considered ready, which puts us just into that 4-star rating. So this is another one where we just made it into 4 stars, so we are carefully looking at this data and seeing ways that we can do. One of those, quite frankly, is our honors diploma. That's something that we just met on this past week with our counselors at the high school to look, are we making sure that all of our students who are eligible for honors diplomas are getting those honors diplomas. So one little measure, but we've already put some things in place based on this report card. Career Tech gets its own report card. So not only do we get to celebrate all the great things that we just did in all of our typical traditional courses, we also have our own report card in Parma for our Career Tech program. And continues to be a shining star with 5 shining stars. This is something that we put in here. This was not in our presentation with our district leadership team yesterday, but we thought this was important to point out. And Dr. Hunt, when we were meeting earlier today, we talked about this comparison of our district, which we are super unique in Parma, that we have our own in-house CTE program. Most districts in the state are a part of a consortium, Polaris, something where the kids kind of go to one. But we're not alone. There are 8 of us. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, 8 of us. Thank you. In the state who have our own CTE program. And so we wanted to see, well, how did we do? Like a comparable district. We did that with achievement, with our overall ratings. We want to see how CTE did with a comparable. We're not going to compare ourselves to Polaris because they have different resources. They get money in from all their different communities. So we wanted to see how we did, and no surprise, we are at the top. So with our 5-star overall rating, with 4s and 5s in all of our different components in CTE. The federal indicators, there's 8 different federal indicators, which is kind of its own measure, and we met 8 out of 9 of them. The only one that we didn't meet is non-traditional program enrollment. So that looks at, one of the ways it looks at it is by gender. So do we have our female students enrolled in our construction program? Do we have our male students enrolled in a more traditional female field such as cosmetology? So that's the only one that we didn't meet. And quite frankly, that's really a lot of choice of what students want, but we are encouraged to have all of our students try and experience our different programs. So that's the only one that we didn't meet out of the 9 federal indicators. But 8 out of 9 is the highest of any of these districts, and 5 stars is right up there at the top. So another celebration. And this just goes through CTE, CTE, CTE. Okay. Well, that wraps up the report card part. We just have a couple slides to talk about some of the things that we're doing, and then we'll talk a little bit more.
Thank you, Dr. Cruz.
Yes.
Sorry. One of the things that I get to talk about is all the hard work that our staff and our students do day to day. And one of the things that we like to think about is that we have this momentum that we've been trying to accomplish for many years. And I think that's something to celebrate, is that we don't give up on our students, we don't give up on each other, and we're gonna keep working towards excellence. And the way we do that is been work that's been going on for many years. One of the things that I think we should be extremely proud of is that we have committed to really focusing on learning and making sure that our students, all of them, are going to be receiving an education that we can be proud of, but that they also can reach their potential. And one of the focuses that we talked about our district leadership team is that we've done a really good job in making sure all of our instructional decisions are what's best for kids, what's best and based on evidence and practices that are effective. And now we're going to continue to monitor and make sure that our students are making those gains and reaching mastery. We've done a lot of great things, and we're going to continue to work on that growth, but then get them to that mastery point. And the way that we do that is honestly in a collaborative culture. We really work to not only just talk with each other, but understanding that we're a district that has many schools, many teachers, many grades, and alignment is so key to make sure that we can both have the same instructional practices, that our kids are experiencing the same things, but then also that we can talk to each other when something is just not working in a classroom with instruction or with just an assessment. All of these pieces, these little details, really do add up to more of an effective way to function as a district. And considering how large we are, I think it's so important that we really celebrate that our staff collaborates all the time. Principals collaborate together, teachers collaborate together. So as we work towards that commitment and that like collective advocacy, that is, these are all our kids, we really focus on results and action. When we utilize data, it's not just to give a test. It is really to inform our instruction. It is to tell us what our students know and are able to do. And it's going to provide that extra layer so that we can make those refinements that on the surface often seem like they're simple things that you could try. But those little things add up to very big things. So one of the things along with collaborative culture is that ability to have like grade levels or like contents, have conversations together. And so in our district, we call them teacher-based teams. Really, it's about being a professional learning community. It's about taking those three things and those guiding big ideas and putting them into action based on what our kids are doing. So these questions are the questions that kind of tie into both the conversations they do when they get together and they talk about what are we having the students learn, what have they learned? If they haven't learned, what are we going to continue to do about it? But then also sharing some of the things that are working, sharing some of the things that help our kids who not only are not getting it, but are also able to go beyond that. So that we're not just also just saying, well, they reached proficiency, so we're good, check it off. We have to continue, and that's why you saw the scores in our gifted, is because we're having those conversations that all of our students need to continue to grow. So Dr. Cruz talked a lot about how the different areas within the components. And so one of the things that, just like we talked about with teachers having conversations about some of the steps and things they do, as a district, both in curriculum instruction as well as at the building level, we align ourselves to some of the things that we commit to try to continue to make our growth and our achievement continue on and on. Obviously, we know early literacy is 2 stars. And like Dr. Cruz talked about, we're not settling for that because we know that both our students, but also our teachers work really hard every day. And over the last 3 years, I would say that the intentional thoughts behind what we do for early literacy have continued to build. So I think it was a couple last year, we talked a lot about the science of reading and some of the things that the state is asking us in terms of understanding how kids learn how to read. We look at it from the lens of not only are we building our knowledge, but then we put action behind it. So we continue to both educate and provide professional development for our teachers, but we also involve what it looks like at different levels. So early literacy really encompasses a lot of what happens in elementary, but the reality is that it's also having to do with getting them to understand what they read in middle school and in high school, because things just keep getting harder and more complex. So we have provided professional development for both our middle school teachers and our middle school principals on adolescent literacy. This provides them that alignment for what we were doing in elementary is continuing even when they go on. We also have adopted a new curriculum this past year. So we gave a presentation last year and we are implementing. All of this also aligns to our local literacy plan. So we developed 67 pages of both data and implementation action steps that we want to do over the course of multiple years, because it takes a while to gain that growth. We also are working through the next layer: achievement, progress, gap closing. One of the focuses really is about understanding how our students are assessed. And so we have both a data dashboard that has the information about how our students did, and then we have the ability to see those questions that you saw, so that our teachers can break down not only how they're being asked, but exposing our students to what it looks like, what it feels like, and it gives them just that extra confidence too, because it's a lot. When we look at all of that, it's really about creating that action orientation. And we do that through our teacher-based teams, through our district leadership team, all of those things just to focus on student learning. The last piece has to do with graduation and that getting students ready for college, the workforce, military, all of that. We wrap around our kids and we pay attention to some of the early warning signs, attendance, grades, credits, all of that to be said. We really pay attention to just making sure building those bridges. The main goal throughout all of these is really just about understanding our kids and working with each other. So that is our action steps.
Just a quick presentation for all of you. Riveting, I think, was the word that was used before the presentation, so thank you. So what can we clarify, questions, thoughts?
I don't have any questions, but I do have a quick statement or two. Our district has come a long, long way, and everybody should be very, very proud. And I'm proud to be sitting on this board and witnessing the progress in the last 7 years. And it's outstanding. Excuse me. And yeah, I look forward to continuing to work at those levels. I know there's several of those things. They're moving the goalposts on everybody, and it's awful hard to hit those targets if they're moving. So, but you guys are doing it, so, and I appreciate it. I'm honored to be sitting here and listening to your report. And congratulations, everybody out there, for 4 stars. Let's get it going and hit that next level. Keep working.
Ditto. No,
No.
just two quick questions. So when you said they do fall to fall, so we get dinged for summer reading or summer learning loss, basically?
Yes, that would be an acceptable conclusion.
And then with the career tech, this is with the, so if girls don't want to, I'm trying to think of the different projects, do they want to go into welding or auto body or mechanics, we get dinged for that?
Correct. The way that it is
Because
measured.
they choose that they would rather do something else with their, so we get dinged for that.
So we want to set up an environment in our CTE program that regardless of the gender, that students would feel comfortable in any of those
I mean,
courses.
we've had females in our,
Correct, and we do have a mix of genders in our.
and girls
courses.
actually make really good painters for
Thank
auto
you.
body. They actually do,
Thank
they're,
you.
most of them are better than men.
I appreciate the compliment for.
No, they can see colors better.
For all females.
I'm not lying. Yes, they can match paint better because
So-
women can see colors better
I,
than men, typically.
yes, often men do have, there is a higher percentage of color blindness than men, so perhaps that would lend to the painting. So that is, yes, that's a measure that we are not crushed that we didn't meet that measure, and when we looked at comparable districts, many districts did not meet that measure, most in fact, so it's something that we are held to, and so it's just important to understand it.
Okay, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Painting?
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Well
much.
done.
Thank you.
Good job. Conclude everything? Does that conclude your information to the board?
I did it up front.
Okay, so that concludes it.
That concludes.
Thank you. That brings us to communication. Anything from the board members? Treasurer, you have something
I do.
special for us?
So there's a new amended House bill that came out, it's House Bill 186, and it's called the inflation cap credit. So they're saying if your house values went up more than inflation, you will be able to get a credit on your taxes, say in 2027, 2028. So of course, when you do that, that means we would get less money in those couple of years. Also, I'm not sure, this applies to levies before 2013. If your tax bill should be $1,000 and you live in your house and you own the house, you get 125 or 12.5% credit. So you paid $175 and the state would reimburse us the other 125. So it's a total of $1,000. With this inflation cap credit, say the person gets credit, the state's not gonna reimburse us for that loss. So the taxpayers benefit from this, but the school loses, and the state benefits because they have to pay less homestead rollback. That's the credit, the 12.5% credit. Anything you'd like to add, or Representative Brennan?
I can save it for my presentation if you want.
Oh, that'd be great.
I
That'd
have a
be
lot to
great.
say about that topic.
Okay, well, that's all I wanted to add, the new bill. It just came out yesterday, so it's a long way off, but something I'm keeping my eye on.
Thank you. Thank you very much. PTA council report. Hi, Ms. Graves. Should have made you go first.
That's okay. Yeah, I get to hear it again, yes. I'm excited. All right, hello, everybody. Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, my name is Candy Graves, and I am the Parma Council PTA's president for this year. PCPTA held their second meeting of the school year on September 10th at the Normandy cafeteria. We had lots of information to share, and we have emailed to the board members our meeting recap. Our units will be working this year towards updating their bylaws and making sure that they are implementing and practicing proper parliamentary procedures. It's the main goal this year. Congratulations to the following units for they followed the membership awards from Ohio PTA, and that was Richbrook Elementary School. They can still earn the Welcome Back Award, and that is just submitting your dues by the end of the month, by the 30th. Parma Council has also started their monthly family engagement post contest on our Facebook page, which I love. We are asking for this month, and coming up in October is going to be pictures of your family participating in your favorite fall activity. It could be apple pumpkin picking, carving any pumpkins, whatever. Also snuggling up by the fires, little bonfires we're gonna start having. Speaking of family activities, Wednesday, October 1st, the PCPTA will be hosting a family arts night, Sky Circus. I am super excited for this. I love the circus. They will be coming and having a nice little presentation at at Valley Forge Auditorium, and it starts at 6 o'clock on the 1st. All families are welcome. Flyers have been sent out to the schools. Please RSVP accordingly. We also have a flyer on Peach Jar, if you need to locate it there. October 10th through the 11th is the Parma Council PTA's Kalahari Night. I found out recently that we are first in our region to have the most rooms sold out at Kalahari, second to Texas. Wow. I know, right? I was like, that's awesome. So yeah. Goodness gracious. Yeah, so keep coming to Kalahari for us. We're also going to have other Kalahari nights on the 1st of January of 2026 and June 21st of 2026. Parma Council PTAs will hold our fall workshops and our tax filing training on Wednesday, the 29th of October at the Snow Road Library. Anybody who's on the boards are welcome to attend the training. We're also going to have Canva and using AI and PTA, so it's going to be pretty cool. Information about the fourth annual PCPTA event, the Cleveland Monsters hockey game. That's going to take place on Saturday, February 1st of 2026. We get 25% of the proceeds of our 50-50 raffle. So come on out, get your tickets. Our next meeting will be on Wednesday, October 8th, 2025, 7 o'clock at Powers Library. So please attend, we'll be there. All are welcome, and if you'd like to speak or give a presentation, just let us know prior to the meeting. We will be collecting non-perishable food items for the PEA food drive. That's all I got, so thank you.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
So we missed something on our communications. We have, Ms. Kerpick?
I had two things I had wanted to mention. This Saturday at 7 o'clock is the Band Spectacular at Byers Field, which if you've never been to it before, it is so much fun. I believe there's six different bands, and they all just perform their shows. So all of the band and none of the football. It's a lot of fun. Saturdays also, the Densler PTA is having a craft fair at Densler, and it is from 10 to 3. And I think this is this their first one, Candy? This is their first one. Okay, that is all. I just forgot both of those things.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, this brings us to public participation. Anything for agenda items? For agenda. Okay. I move to adopt resolution 2025-09-429, approval of the written record from proceedings from September 11th, 2025 regular Board of Education meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-09-429. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call please.
Mr. Vaughn.
Yes.
Mr. Ruda.
Yes.
Ms. Cohar.
Yes.
Ms. Kerpick.
Yes.
Ms. McTaggart.
Yes.
Resolution 2025-09-429 has been approved. This brings us to business. Mr. Ruda.
Nothing for business tonight, so unless another board member has anything they want to discuss, we can skip business.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Curriculum, Ms. Kerpick.
Thank you. I move to adopt resolution 2025-09-430, approval of overnight out-of-state field trip to Columbus, Ohio on February 23rd to 24th, 2026.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-09-430. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call please.
Ms. Kerpick.
Yes.
Ms. Cohar.
Yes.
Ms. McTaggart.
Yes.
Mr. Ruda.
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn.
Yes. Resolution 2025-09-430 has been approved.
I move to adopt resolution 2025-09-431, approval of overnight out-of-state field trip to Columbus, Ohio on March 3rd to the 4th, 2026.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-09-431. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, Mr. Nucio?
Ms. Kerpick.
Yes.
Ms. Cohar.
Yes.
Ms. McTaggart.
Yes.
Mr. Ruda.
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn.
Yes, resolution 2025-09-431 has been approved.
I move to adopt resolution 2025-09-432, approval of overnight out-of-state field trip to Dearborn, Michigan on October 24th, 2025, Henry Ford Museum.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-09-432. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, Mr. Nucio?
Ms. Kerpick.
Yes.
Ms. Cohar.
Yes.
Ms. McTaggart.
Yes.
Mr. Ruda.
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn.
Yes, resolution 2025-09-432 has been approved.
I move to adopt resolution 2025-09-433, authorizing the renewal of instructional materials for English learners.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-09-433. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, Mr. Nucio?
Ms. Kerpick.
Yes.
Ms. Cohar.
Yes.
Ms. McTaggart.
Yes.
Mr. Ruda.
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn.
Yes, resolution 2025-09-433 has been approved.
Unless another board member has anything to discuss, this will conclude curriculum.
Thank you, Ms. Griffin. Let's bring us to finance, Ms. Cohar.
Yes, I move to adopt resolution 2025-09-434, approval of the August 2025 financial report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-09-434. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, Mr. Nucio?
Ms. Cohar.
Yes.
Ms. McTaggart.
Yes.
Ms. Kerpick.
Yes.
Mr. Ruda.
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn.
Yes. Resolution 2025-09-434 has been approved.
I move to adopt resolution 2025-09-435, approval of contributions and donations.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-09-435. Any questions or comments from the board? I'll just simply always thank you, everybody, for remembering the Parma City Schools with your donation. Your generosity is very much appreciated. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And roll call, please.
Ms. Cohart?
Yes.
Ms. McTaggart?
Yes.
Ms. Kerbick?
Yes.
Mr. Ruda?
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes. Resolution 2025-09-435 has been approved.
I move to adopt resolution 2025-09-436, supplemental appropriations.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-09-436. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, Ms. Nucio.
Ms. Cohart?
Yes.
Ms. McTaggart?
Yes.
Ms. Kerbick?
Yes.
Mr. Ruda?
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes, resolution 2025-09-436 has been approved.
I move to adopt resolution 2025-09-437, approval of then and now certificates over $3,000 for 2025-2026.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-09-437. Any questions or comments from the board?
Yeah, can I ask what this is for?
Yeah, Sean, can you
Absolutely.
explain this?
Sean?
Okay, so this, is the Hillside DC trip.
Oh,
Okay, I'm like, what?
Thank you.
Who's going on a cruise?
So it's the Hillside DC trip, and, you know, all the schools go to, a lot of them in Washington, you gotta book the trips way ahead of time, so I think they put their name in or something, they got sent an invoice in October of last year, but, you know, you have to use this year's money to pay for it, so they opened a purchase order in September of '25, and it's $7,000, it's for the kids.
Now, where does the money come from? Is that,
They raise it, fundraise.
that's fundraising money,
Yeah,
so the
they-
kids paid the money already?
Kids either pay the money or they fundraise it. That's
Okay.
the DC account they have.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, very good. Thank you.
Cruise thing, kind of.
Drew's gonna throw you off.
That kind of threw me off.
What's going on there, Chris? All right. Roll call, please.
Ms. Cohart?
yes.
Ms. McTaggart?
Yes.
Ms. Kerbick?
Yes.
Mr. Ruda?
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes, resolution 2025-09-437 has been approved.
I move to adopt resolution 2025-09-438, ratifications of investments.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-09-438. Any comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, Ms. Nucio.
Ms. Cohart?
Yes.
Ms. McTaggart?
Yes.
Ms. Kerbick?
Yes.
Mr. Ruda?
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes, resolution 2025-09-438 has been approved.
Unless another board member has anything to discuss, that will conclude finance.
Thank you, Ms. Gohar. This brings us to Human Resources, Mrs. McTaggart.
I move to adopt resolution 2025-09-439. Approval of the following certificated exhibits: confirmation of certificated replacements, confirmation of stipend amounts, confirmation of supplemental appointments, confirmation of supplemental contracts, approval of certificated non-compensated leaves of absence.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-09-439. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, Ms. Nucio.
Ms. McTaggart?
Yes.
Ms. Kerbick?
Yes.
Ms. Cohart?
Yes.
Mr. Ruda?
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes, resolution 2025-09-439 has been approved.
I move to adopt resolution 2025-09-440, granting authority to the administration to enter into a contract with Ohio Substitute Teacher Services for substitute staffing services during the 2025-2026 school year.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-09-440. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, Mr. Nucio.
Ms. McTaggart?
Yes.
Ms. Kerbick?
Yes.
Ms. Cohart?
Yes.
Mr. Ruda?
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes, resolution 2025-09-440 has been approved.
I move to adopt Resolution 2025-09-441, granting authority to the administration to enter into a contract with Frontline Technologies Group LLC for absence management services from 7/1/2025 through 6/30/2029.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-09-441. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, Mr. Nucio?
Ms. McTaggart?
Yes.
Ms. Kerbick?
Yes.
Ms. Cohart?
Yes.
Mr. Ruda?
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes, resolution 2025-09-441 is approved. I said 441. Jesus, man. Has been approved.
I move to adopt Resolution 2025-09-442, approval of the following classified exhibits: confirmation of classified appointments, confirmation of classified replacements, confirmation of classified change of assignments, approval of classified non-compensated leaves of absences, acceptance of classified resignations, confirmation of classified stipends.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-09-442. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, Mr. Nucio?
Ms. McTaggart?
Yes.
Ms. Kerbick?
Yes.
Ms. Cohart?
Yes.
Mr. Ruda?
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes, resolution 2025-09-442 has been approved.
Within that, there were 2 teachers called back from the reduction in force, correct? Just wanted to.
That'd be a question for Dr. Hunt.
Well, I'll have to
Just-
look.
Are you talking about
Thought that would be a good thing to note, yeah.
the very first resolution that we read?
Was
that we
it?
were talking
Okay,
about?
yes, if it's in that first one.
Just gonna look that up.
I just thought it'd be a good thing to note, but I can move on and then you can get back to
Yeah,
me.
let me
if that's-
take a look at what's in there.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I move to adopt Resolution 2025-09-443, acceptance of classified retirements.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-09-443. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, Mr. Nucio?
Ms. McTaggart?
Yes.
Ms. Kerbick?
Yes.
Ms. Cohart?
Yes.
Mr. Ruda?
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes, resolution 2025-09-443 has been approved.
I move to adopt Resolution 2025-09-444, authorization to release from employment during probationary period classified employees.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-09-444. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, Mr. Nucio?
Ms. McTaggart?
Yes.
Ms. Kerbick?
Yes.
Ms. Cohart?
Yes.
Mr. Ruda?
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes, resolution 2025-09-444 has been approved.
Unless another board member has anything to discuss?
Yeah,
Dr.
so there's one
There's one.
RIF recall,
Okay.
social studies teacher, so yes.
Okay, thank you.
And now,
Unless another board member has anything to discuss, that concludes human resources.
thank you, Ms. McTaggart. This brings us to policies, Ms. Cohen.
Yes, first reading of following revised policies. Policy 7530.01, board-owned technology resources used for communication. Policy 8305, information security. And that is all we have for policy, unless any other board member has anything else to add.
Thank you, Ms. Cohen. Any information requested by the board?
I do. So the education for the board members that we discussed in our retreat initially.
Mhm.
So initially, when we discussed it, it would be due on an annual basis. And so I know when it went out, we received those emails and it was due, I mean.
Like, yeah, right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so then you mentioned, Mr. Vaughn, that it would be due by the end of September. And so me agreeing and us having discussion, open discussion in regards to that training, and thinking that it would be on an annual basis, that was really just, I mean, I don't know how long we had to do it, a month or so, or maybe a little bit more than that. I personally would like more time, because when we talked about it, I was thinking a year to complete that training. I do agree with the training, I think that it's important, but I wouldn't be able to complete it by the end of September.
Okay. What would be a good date for you?
I think a year from the time that we initially discussed it, since it was discussed as an annual basis. So an annual basis to me means that you would have 1 full year to complete all of that training. And so I think that's how I perceived
Okay, well.
the amount of time that we would have,
Yes,
being an annual basis.
Sure. That means every year you have to do it. So there are other options. There are other requirements that coaches, I would use coaching because that's what I'm most familiar with. There are things that are due annually, but you have a short period of time to do them. It's usually about a month. So they have a deadline of, say, like June 30th. That was our deadline, and you can't really start those until June, after the other one expires. You do it before it expires, they release the test to you or the courses. The courses generally that we're talking about take about 15 minutes. Maybe there are a couple videos, and maybe a quiz at the end. They're not very long.
The ones that we had to do?
Oh, they're longer?
Excuse me, I would respectfully disagree.
Okay.
Yeah, some of them were quite long. If you did them thoroughly, they were very long, and I
Okay.
would agree with Ashley on
Okay.
this.
So, okay, well, I just didn't think it was that taxing, but, okay.
It took a long time.
Okay.
Respectfully, I
Yeah.
mean, with
No,
the
I
active
get
duty
you.
time that I've.
So, yeah, well, you want a whole year to do, take a whole year to do them, I guess. I think they're doable,
Yes.
get done within a month.
I'm sorry, I have kind of a clarifying question.
Sure.
So I had like a long list of them that were emailed to me. I mean, there was like.
There was like 4.
No.
No, we got a
See,
full list.
Yes, there was a full list, so I think that might be where some of the disagreements are happening here, because I reached out to Scott and said, hey, which ones of these do we actually have to do? Because when we all sat down and spoke about this, I don't know, but there were many on that list that we did not speak about and we did not all agree to do.
Right.
So there were really only like 4, I believe, that needed to be completed.
I did not know that.
Right.
So.
I was plowing through
Yeah,
all
so-
of them.
So that's why
Oh
I'm
my
saying,
God.
that's why
Yeah.
I'm
Oh, no,
saying
right,
that
right.
now. Because Ashley, I don't want you to do all of these and,
There's 8 other
you know,
ones.
waste your
were
time doing ones
emailed
that
to us that are
aren't relevant
aside
to
from
us.
the ethics
Yeah,
ones and
those are.
for
So-
teachers and that, for people that are in
Yeah.
contact with kids in the building.
Yeah, no wonder.
Outside.
No wonder why.
I think we should let's press pause on the time. Let me go
Right.
back and talk to Dr. Lyer and
See if we can condense that. 'cause I
Mr.
didn't
Boyd
realize all of
and
this.
get you exactly what it is.
I
and-
apologize, that would make
and-
sense with the long list.
And to your point, some of them aren't due within 30 days
Right.
for when staff does them. So let me get back to the board with a more
Yeah.
comprehensive view of what you have to do.
Right.
Linda, if you're done, I'm sorry, you're ahead of the curve.
I'm sorry?
I said, if you're already done, you're ahead of the curve.
Oh,
so
there was still more to do, and I
apologize.
spent a whole afternoon working on it, and I
Oh, no,
wasn't
it's-
not nearly
I
through
know.
them. I mean,
Some of these
them
don't
took like
apply to
90
us because we're not in the
That's
building.
right.
They're all 4.
When you got the email, went out in the clusters and all of the
that one with it.
modules that are assigned to that, so just press pause and let me get back to you with
Yeah.
That
exactly
sounds
what
good.
you do, okay?
Thank you.
Yep.
Well, very good. I didn't realize it did that.
Yeah, it's I got the entire list of everything that every employee has
That's
to do.
crazy.
And so did-
Well, thank you for pointing that out, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, well, very good. So
You
this,
hold me back.
sorry. I really, well, you're right, ahead of the curve, as Dr. Hunt said. All right, so this brings us to questions to be read into the record. So, read this little disclaimer. At this point, we're open to meeting the public address the board with comments and our concerns, and we have 3 such requests. Requests to be heard forms will be completed and submitted in person to the administrative secretary. All statements shall be directed to the board president. As per policy 0169.1, comments that are repetitive, obscene, disparaging, abusive, irrelevant, and/or comments that constitute a threat will not be tolerated, and the speaker will be asked to stop speaking and/or to leave the meeting. Please note that various board policies exist which set forth processes and procedures to be used in investigating and addressing personnel issues that cannot be addressed in public. As per board policies, we may not be able to respond directly or address some issues at this time. If information is not readily available, we will respond at our next regular meeting. 3 minutes is allowed per speaker. Please remember to state your name and address for the record. And would please Martin Stanek please come forward.
It'll take me an hour to get up there, so don't.
Okay. Well, we'll start the time we start speaking.
Martin, there's no mic here, okay. Martin Stanek. First of all, Amy, that was a very good presentation. I tried to read through the website and couldn't figure it out. But one question I did have, in the areas of achievement, progress, and gap closing, they stayed the same for the past couple of years, where early lit failed for the past couple of years. So I'd like to talk to you about that. But anyways, here's my question. The plain dealer, we all love the plain dealer. Dr. Hunt will find out how great the plain dealer is. Said in July of 2024 that Parma schools would receive $14 million as a rebate on the real estate taxes. Now, I know it could be higher or lower, but have you gotten any money for 2025? And does that have an offset on the levy?
Right. So that article was actually printed some misinformation in the amount that we were going to receive, which was a 14.7, and it actually was 3.4 million.
So they
printed a retraction.
They were wrong, oddly. Yes,
Unbelievable.
they were wrong and incorrect. So the article, like I said, was misinformed. I know that our treasurer, Sean Nucio, had called them right away, asked them to retract, and I believe they did a retraction.
Could I speak on this?
Yeah, go ahead, I want you to finish
So,
up.
the county gave Plain Dealer, Cleveland.com, information on all the schools and how much additional money they're getting because of the reevaluation. They said Parma Schools was getting $14.7 million. When I saw that number, I knew that it was wrong, because the county had told Cleveland.com and Plain Dealer that we'd get increases on our emergency levies. Emergency levies are fixed sum levies. If property values go up 25%, we get the same amount of money. But the person at the county did not understand that and said on all 4 of our emergency levies, we're getting additional money, which was not true at all. Cleveland.com printed this article on its Sunday paper. Everybody in Cleveland read it. And then, once I argued with the county for 3 days, the county finally agreed that I was right. And they sent the information to Cleveland.com, who printed a revised article on Friday night about 5 o'clock, which nobody read because it was
On Friday, July 21st, then we can pull that on the screen in the newspaper?
You can
I don't
look it
know
up.
them
It's
doing that in
included,
writing.
it's in Cleveland.com, you can read, you can look it up,
Okay.
it's there. So $14.7 million they said we were gonna get, we really got $3.4 million.
The big difference.
It's one
Yes.
big difference.
Yes, it is.
But of course, it's out there, the department's getting all this money, why do you need a levy? You're getting $14.7 million more, we're not. It was misinformation.
The Plain Dealer is a good rate. Just don't believe their numbers.
It wasn't,
Thank
it wasn't
you.
Cleveland, it wasn't Cleveland Plain Dealer's fault, it was the information that they
I can't hear you.
received.
What?
It wasn't the Plain Dealer's fault, it was the information they received from the county was incorrect. They
The county
printed-
made a mistake too?
The county gave the Cleveland.com the wrong information, and they printed the wrong information. Until they.
$11 million off, huh? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Nucio. Kathy Colab? Colabad? Yeah, sorry. I missed the I there. Sorry.
Yeah, Kathy Colabat. I myself don't live in the Parma School District. I did grow up here though. But my concern is over my grandson who lives here in Parma, and he has been bullied. And my concern is he was bullied when he was in elementary school, and now he's in middle school, and he's still being bullied. And what happened was I questioned him. I said, what happened? And he said, some boy punched me in the stomach twice. I go, what did you do? I went to, I don't know if he said it was a teacher or an aide or somebody. And that person told him, go see the principal. Now, he's a 10-year-old boy, new to the school. He doesn't feel as if he's safe. How can he learn? Now, he also has autism, and he has a disability in reading. He's at a 2nd grade level. They put him into 5th grade when he was in 4th. And my ex-son-in-law and my daughter were at the meeting where I don't think they're counselors and teachers. I did not attend. And my daughter says, I want to hold him back and forth because of his disability. I know my son went to school. He had a disability, and that was in the real school system. We're extremely fortunate they had learning disabled classes then, and that really helped a great deal. That helped my son immensely. But what do we do? What are the actions taken when a child says this? And well, the bad thing that happened in elementary school, when he told somebody, that person happened to see him strike back. So he got yelled at. Now, the second situation where he's at today, he says, Grandma, I wanted to hit him, but I didn't. And I said, good, you don't want to hit him, because then you'll get blamed. What happens to this bullying? It's going on across the country. It's terrible. What is the school system doing about it?
Dr. Hunt, you want to weigh in on that?
Sure, so thank you for sharing that with us, and we will make sure that we also get back to the building. But certainly we don't want that behavior happening, and I think the advice is, yeah, we want that to be addressed at the building level with the teacher, with the other student, with our building principal. That's where that starts. So if that did not happen in that way, then I appreciate you sharing that with us so that we
He fears to
can.
go to school. How are you going to learn if you're in fear?
Right.
I don't understand that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
listening.
you.
Sure, thank you. There's our last person, Representative Sean Brennan. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. I'm not good at keeping the 3 minutes, so I'll do the best I can.
Nope, we are.
Yeah, I know that. Plus, I wouldn't mind getting into some funding stuff if you'd like to hear me talk about that.
I'm gonna have to
But,
grab it.
I wanted to be here tonight. First of all, I'm Sean Brennan, State Representative, 30-year public school teacher. I did my student teaching at Valley Forge a long time ago, too many years to count. Just this week, began serving as the ranking member of the Ohio House of Representatives Education Committee, which is something I've aspired to ever since joining the General Assembly about 2 years and 9 months ago. I wanted to be here tonight because I'm just so proud of the Parma City Schools. And I want to thank Dr. Cruz and Ms. Zeramet. All right, very good. Teaching 30 years, you're pretty good at pronouncing names, especially in Northeast Ohio, all the Z's and S's and other consonants. But thank you for your excellent presentation. I spent quite a few hours going through the data for the district and each of the buildings myself, and the career and technical planning district report card as well. And I'm just so proud. In fact, this week at the Education Committee meeting, the very first thing I said was how proud I was of our schools. For a school district of our size to go from a 3.5 to a 4 is almost unheard of. And I said it's because our district has literally wrapped our arms around the children that we serve. From Dr. Smilek and now Dr. Hunt and their staff, from the school board that is laser focused on our kids and preparing them for the world outside of our schools, to our parents and PTA members, our guardians. I live with my grandma, so not all of our folks that take care of us are our parents. To the kids. It really is an example of where it takes a village. And I know Dr. Smilek was laser focused on that 0.1% to get us to that 4. And that was the challenge, and that was the focus. And that got us there. And it came because of a lot of hard work from so many staff members in particular. And I don't want to fail to mention them, from the teachers, to the paraprofessionals, to the bus drivers, to the custodians. It's really everybody in the district that helped make that difference. However, I would say that you're a 5 in my book, because I'm in the schools often. When I go into First Steps preschool and see the love of the teachers and the kids. When I go to Pleasant Valley Elementary School and I read to the kids there, and I just see the amazing teachers and staff and how much they care about the kids there. When I come here to Normandy High School and see the amazing things that go on in the career and tech programs, and on and on and on, I just always leave with a smile on my face. And I'm so proud of the work that everybody is doing. Despite the fact of the challenges that we have here in the Parma City Schools. We know that we have a significant special ed population. We know we have a significant ELL population. We know that the socioeconomics of the district has been shifting and changing. And all of those things provide challenges. But I'm happy that the staff has met those challenges. They haven't shied away from them. And they've sought creative ways of reaching every child in the district. And that's to be commended. I don't want to go into all the details about the report card because these ladies just did that. But you know, this is so important, not only first and foremost for our kids, but for the community in general. You know, when the folks see that you have exceeded state standards as a school district, this is what attracts people to a community. This is what keeps the community stable. This is what keeps our property values stable. It really is the infrastructure of our community. I always say that if your schools fall apart, everything falls apart. I think it's something that everybody in the district should be proud of. Every resident of the district, that lives within the district, should be proud of.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
For your comments, I appreciate it.
Well, and I do have commendations for the school
Go ahead.
district for the 4 overall, and the 5 for the career technical staff. It's an honor to serve as your state rep. You know, you all know, I think, that I'm just a phone call away. I'm your cheerleader. I'm your servant. So let me know how I can be of help.
Thank you so much.
If you want me to talk about the funding stuff, I can.
Maybe at another time.
All right, sounds good. All right. Well, thank you very much. And I'll present these to the superintendent
Thank you.
after the meeting.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Representative Brennan. Appreciate that. I move to adopt resolution 2025-09-445 to adjourn, to adjourn into executive session relative to personnel matters and matters required to be kept confidential by state or federal law.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-09-445. Are there any questions or comments from the board? None. Roll call, please.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes.
Mr. Ruda?
Yes.
Ms. Cohar?
Yes.
Ms. Kirkland?
Yes.
Ms. McTaggart?
Yes.
Be resolved that the Board of Education of Parma City School District hereby adjourns to executive session at 7:42 p.m. relative to discuss personnel matters, appointment, and/or employment. Ohio law provides that school boards may meet in executive session to discuss legal issues, property issues, and personnel issues. Because of the confidential nature of these issues, this part of the meeting is closed to the general public, and the matters to be discussed are not specifically listed on the agenda. No resolution will be voted on during the executive session. All voting must take place in open session. We are now in executive session. Feel better? Yeah.